Lobster fishing is, without a doubt, one of the most important seafood fisheries in the world. Artisanal and recreational fishermen use several techniques to obtain a long-awaited prize, known in many places in Spain as the king of crustaceans, not only for its enormous size, but also for its immeasurable gastronomic value. For the Spanish, expert cooks of seafood, this species is a delicacy, which has turned lobster fishing in the Cantabrian Sea into one of the most interesting fishing engines in the country, an industry that seems to grow year after year. On the sea coasts of Spain you can find mainly two types of lobsters, the common lobster or Panulirus elephans and also the Moroccan lobster or Panulirus mauritanius. Both species are highly valued in the local market and are, equally, the target of thousands of artisanal fishermen, who use harpoons, nets and marine traps to obtain them. Differentiating both types of lobsters is not a very complicated task. The common lobster, the first on the list and the most in demand, is usually larger in size and its tail is deep red with some white dots. For its part, the Moroccan lobster is lighter in color and the tail is covered with spikes. Certainly the activity of fishing for lobsters is extremely exciting and, of course, like all artisanal fishing, it has its secrets, and that is why I have decided to make this article to teach you everything related to artisanal lobster fishing. In the following article we will touch on important points, information that is essential to handle to be successful on the fishing day. We are going to study in depth the characteristics and behavior of the species. I will tell you about the most efficient fishing techniques for capturing lobster. At sea, we will review the equipment necessary for such a campaign and also the best areas to set the lobster traps. The European lobster can be found relatively easily in the waters of practically any sea in America, Europe and Africa. Lobsters are highly active during the summer and to live, they generally prefer warm waters with rocky bottoms between 50 and 150 meters deep. The adult sea lobster can measure between 25 and 40 centimeters in length and its average weight can vary between 1 and 3 kilograms. Male lobsters are usually up to 25% larger than females. At some times of the year and at depths greater than 100 meters, monstrous specimens of 55 or 60 centimeters in length, weighing more than 12 kilograms, can be captured. It is characterized by having a long body, divided mainly into two segments. The head, also covered by a hard shell and armed with large protective spikes that rise just above the eyes, and then there is the valuable abdomen, also protected by a resistant shell and where most of its meat can be found, famous for being soft and with a delicious flavor. Lobsters have a set of 5 legs on each side of their body, also covered with their strong exoskeleton, which store smaller amounts of meat. Despite their characteristic red color when served, at the time of capture we can see various shades in the shell of the lobsters: red, pink, greenish, yellow and even blue. All known varieties of lobsters are predominantly nocturnal animals, meaning that, after the sun goes down and the waters darken, they take advantage of their antennae in the dark to go hunting and feeding. Lobsters scour rock surfaces in search of food, and eat practically anything within reach: small marine worms, small crabs, dead fish and snails. When the sun rises and the waters clear, the lobsters return to their rocky hiding places to hide from their natural predators. In some places on the planet they are called sea cockroaches. Without a doubt it is a nickname that does not combine in the least with enormous value, since lobsters are an exclusive and extremely expensive dish. But the comparison has a reason. Lobsters are sea scavengers, capable of feeding on the waste of other species and even devouring dead fish. As a hunter she is also very effective, implementing various techniques to catch snails, clams, oysters, small crabs, worms and some small unsuspecting squid. Sometimes, if food is scarce, they may feed on algae for some time. Apparently, the king of crustaceans is not only a delicious animal, its meat, silky and with a strong taste of the sea, also has a nutritional contribution for our body. Despite being a completely lean meat, lobster tail meat has 88 kilocalories per 100 grams of serving, which makes it a super energetic food, perfect for athletes. The protein contribution is also very important, similar to the amounts offered by tuna or salmon meat. There are, in general, 2 quite effective techniques for fishing for lobsters around the world. The first and most used by artisanal fishermen is the installation of underwater traps at night. The other technique is underwater fishing with a net or harpoon, but this, due to its great danger, is prohibited in many countries around the world. However, it is the favorite of recreational lobster hunters. The best areas to look for lobsters are deep waters with rocky bottoms. Lobsters usually make their lairs in small cavities in the rocky seabed where lighting is low, a perfect environment to hide and hunt. The depth of the water can vary as these animals can live in waters 5 or 10 meters deep, but truly large specimens prefer darker waters, between 20 and 80 meters below sea level. In general, lobsters can be caught in any coastal area of the Cantabrian Sea, but in the Balearic Islands catches are much more frequent. Among the islands, probably the best for fishing giant lobsters is Menorca, known by many locals and tourists as the Kingdom of the Red Lobster, since its coasts offer the largest and most gastronomically valuable specimens. We are going to talk about how to capture lobsters using an underwater trap, since not only is it the legal technique, it is also much safer and also allows you to catch more than one specimen at a time. It is important to know that to place the traps properly it is necessary to get a fishing boat and sail to the coastline, where the waters reach sufficient depth to capture good-sized specimens. Making a lobster trap is not a complicated task, and it is enough to have some materials that are very easy to obtain. Let's see. You can build the trap using plastic pieces, wicker, reed, or cane poles. The first thing you should do is cut the segments from each side. Generally, the trap should be less than a meter long, 50 centimeters wide and at least 30 centimeters high. You can join each segment using nylon or wire ties. Place supports with metal tubes from side to side of the segments to give additional support to the box and thus prevent it from falling apart while underwater. You must craft the trap entrance. To do this, cut a hole at the base of one of the sides of the trap. The hole should be large enough for a lobster to fit through. Assemble a conical-shaped channel made of wicker or chicken wire to the hole for the lobsters to pass through. Make a hole with a door at the top. This will serve to easily remove the lobsters when you retrieve the trap. Ion Power Special Golden. The Awashima Ion Power Special Dorada line is used in bream fishing due to its great resistance to bottom friction and wear caused by sea salt and the sun. Once the trap has been completed, it is time to launch it into the sea and wait for the catchers. To guarantee success, it is necessary to bait the inside of the traps adequately and abundantly. Due to the unsavory eating habits of lobsters, almost anything can be used as bait, but expert fishermen recommend using dead fish, as this is one of the red lobster's favorite foods. Traps should be set in the late afternoon, just before the sun goes down to avoid disturbing the calm of the seabed once the light has gone and the lobsters are preparing to emerge from their lairs to feed. The trap should be left overnight and lifting should be done the next day, first thing in the morning. Another resource, used to a lesser extent, is diving to catch lobsters. This technique is more popular among sport fishermen or in places where the catch is not very abundant. Divers dive into waters with rocky or muddy bottoms about 15, 20 or 30 meters deep, armed with a harpoon with a hook at the tip, which is used to string the live lobster once it has been located between the rocks. This type of fishing is prohibited in many countries due to the high danger to the life of the diver, but also because it does not guarantee marine preservation, since, once the lobster has been skewered, if it does not meet the standards for its captured, cannot be released again. As in many other countries in America, lobster fishing activity is subject to many regulations to guarantee its sustainability. Among many other aspects, the legislation of the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Food contemplates closed periods. Artisanal fishing for red lobster can only be carried out in the period from April 1st to August 31st of each year. In the case of the white lobster or Halonurus mauritanicos, the allowed season is from June 1st to November 30th. White lobster fishing can only be carried out in depths greater than 200 meters. Regarding the size of the lobster, the capture of specimens smaller than 24 centimeters in length is prohibited under any circumstances. In all cases, the capture of ovate females is prohibited. If they enter the trap, they must be released immediately. Lobster fishing pots may not exceed 90 centimeters in length and must be manufactured with environmentally friendly materials. The fishery successfully closed with 690 tons, exceeding the capture goal, which was 600 tons for the season from December 16, 2022 to February 28, 2023. The lobster ban begins in Yucatan, from March 1st to June 30th. Respecting the closed season period for the species ensures the future of the fishery, employment for thousands of fishermen. This fishery is one of the most important in the entity, since the commercialization of food generates important foreign exchange abroad, in addition to having very good demand also in the interior of the country. The season that began on July 1, 2022 and ended on February 28, 2023, reported that the capture goal of 600 tons was exceeded, giving a preliminary capture figure of 690 tons of the crustacean, and that means close to 180 million pesos of economic benefit, something similar to the capture period last season, which reported a capture of approximately 700 tons of lobster. Approximately 1,500 fishermen and 511 smaller vessels and 35 larger vessels will be moored at the ports to give way to the closed season that runs from March 1 to June 30 of this year. They will be able to fish for corvina, snapper, sardine, among other species of scale, due to the fact that the three main fisheries of the state, grouper, octopus and lobster, are already closed. The population is asked to ensure that they consume seafood that is not prohibited, to contribute to the fight against poaching, which for several years has been affecting the biomass of all fisheries. The closed season for species is of utmost importance to allow the growth and reproduction of species, which ensure the sustainability of fishing activity. Lobster fishing begins on July 1 in the Gulf and the Caribbean. On a kitchen work table, lobster tails are shown arranged by allowed catch sizes. In Yucatan, around 2,000 fishermen participate in the capture. They are our #food heroes because with their hard work and sacrifice they contribute to the economy of the port and the variety of food they offer on the Yucatecan coast. This implies undertaking risky and prolonged trips of fishing. The capture of langosta is one of the most important fisheries in the state, first of all because of the attractive color and large size of this crustacean, which also has the prestige of the flavor of its meat, and then, because foreign demand highly appreciates the product, which is mostly exported to the European Union, the United States, Hong Kong and Vietnam, ranking third in national fishing exports. The rest of the product benefits the tourist areas of Cancun, Isla Mujeres and the Riviera Maya to supply restaurants that prepare spectacular dishes that please the palates of visitors and tourists. According to the Fisheries Management Plan, the states of Yucatan and Quintana Roo are the main producers of this species. Each of these entities records 49% of the catches at the national level, while the remaining states together contribute 2%. INA Pesca, through its Regional Fisheries Research Center, located in Ucalpeten, Yucatan, determines that the minimum capture size must be 135 mm of abdominal length and the capture of females in the reproductive stages is prohibited. This year, the catch goal is 600 tons. The colas are sold at an approximate price of 450 pesos per kilo. According to Conapesca records, Yucatan has around 513 smaller vessels, 27 larger ones and around 2,000 fishermen, who, through diving and traps, aim to reach the minimum catch goal. At the national level, the lobster fishery by volume is positioned in 32nd place in production and by value it is in 6th place. Eating sea lobster is a delight that benefits health because it provides the human body with calcium, which promotes the well-being of bones and teeth, potassium, zinc and selenium, minerals that keep the immune system and heart elevated, vitamin E, which activates antioxidant cells and is also a low-calorie food. Eat lobster and other seafood, which are delicious. Don't miss the opportunity to enjoy this delicacy from the sea, which is a delicious and nutritious food. Lobster fishing is coming in Yucatan. Freshly caught lobster, preserved in a container with ice. From July 1 to February 28, lobster capture resumes along the entire Yucatecan coast, after a 4-month ban that aims to allow the species to reproduce so that the fishery for this valuable crustacean is sustainable. Lobster is one of the seafoods most anticipated by fishermen and tourists, both for the good profits it generates in the commercial chain, and for the enjoyment of the most demanding palates. It is a product that is appreciated throughout the country and abroad for the flavor of its meat and its nutritional attributes, as it provides calcium, potassium, zinc, selenium and minerals. Most of it is exported to the European Union, the United States, Hong Kong and Vietnam, ranking third in national fishing exports. The rest of the product benefits the tourist areas of Cancun, Isla Mujeres and the Riviera Maya to supply restaurants that prepare spectacular dishes to please visitors and tourists. From July 2021 to February 2022, in 513 smaller vessels, 27 larger ones, and around 2,000 coastal fishermen from the east and west of the state, through diving and traps, they managed to capture just over 600 tons of lobster. It is expected that a similar figure will be caught this season, which is considered acceptable to offset the investment costs and generate sufficient income to support the families of these #food heroes who, on each trip to capture various marine species, face to extreme weather conditions and work risks to support their families and contribute to the economy of the port and the state. The red lobster, Hanulirus interruptus, is a marine crustacean that has an exquisite flavor and plays an important role in highly prestigious global dishes. Although there are many myths regarding its capture and gastronomic preparation, it is a product that is in high demand for its flavor and nutritional contribution. In several restaurants, a dish with lobster as the main ingredient costs around $25. While in Mexico City, whether eating it whole as a main dish or as part of an appetizer, it would not cost less than 500 pesos. Hence its connotation of sophistication, luxury and exclusivity. The region known as the North Pacific on the coast of Baja California Sur is the main supplier area of red lobster in Mexico, recording more than 90% of fishing for this species throughout the country, hence it is also known as California lobster. It is also recorded that fishing in this area has become a tradition that dates back to the beginning of the last century. This crustacean is abundant on rocky coasts from shallow waters to a depth of up to 100 meters. The fishing season begins on September 15th and ends on February 15th. Outside of this period it is considered a closed season, so its capture is strictly prohibited. We are less than a month away from having this delicacy at our disposal. During the fishing season, the largest number of captured lobsters are sold live, packed in 10-kilo boxes surrounded by gel bags that allow them to remain cold and lethargic for several hours to resist transportation. You can review our directory of red lobster suppliers here. Another way of preparation is to steam them whole and then pack them in boxes and process them like frozen lobster tails, a real delight. Currently, the red lobster is considered one of the most appreciated marine animals in gastronomy for its exquisite flavor and texture, in addition to the fact that the presentation in which it reaches the market allows it to preserve all its culinary qualities and its nutritional contributions. Like all crustaceans, fresh lobster is cooked alive. Its meat is fine, white and compact. It can be prepared spicy, grilled, flambéed or served with butter. Whatever your taste, lobster is a favorite dish in many places around the world. This crustacean qualifies as a sustainable product certified under the most rigorous standard in the world, so its fishing gives consumers and suppliers the opportunity to support sustainable practices to contribute to the health of the Mexican oceans, and in this way future generations will be able to enjoy such an extravagant